Well, hello there guys, it's Kip Omen here. I'm so glad to see you for joining me on this brand new video, and welcome to my channel also. So hereby I'd like to share my excellent updates that are going to break through my film review about the latest movie, Indiana Jones The Dial of Destiny, which is recently hit in cinemas last month on Wednesday evening. I really enjoyed watching that phenomenal, incredible, amazing and brilliant movie ever. I absolutely loved it on cinematic experience, as the audience were impressed. The film was directed by James Mangold, who previously worked on directing X-Men spin-off movie Logan in 2017. Although the original creators, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, were not involved in directing this sequel, but they actually worked as executive producers. So it was distributed by Disney, Lucasfilm, in association with Paramount Pictures as studio credits. I obviously do love those Indiana Jones movies so much. Especially Raiders of Lost Ark is my favourite film of all time, which was initially debuted in cinemas worldwide in 1981. I am actually a huge fan of Indiana Jones movies, including Star Wars and Willow. Our fan favourite Hollywood actor Harrison Ford has returned to reprise his iconic role as Indiana Jones, the daredevil American archaeologist, in the fifth installment for the last time, more than 40 years and 15 years. Indiana Jones seems such a great, awesome heroic character in the film history. Since we last saw the fourth film, it was completely hideous, insane, and worse with the cringy CGI effects, because many fans dislike the fact there were Roswell aliens appeared in. When Indy and Mert explored through the Amazon rainforest deep in Peru, they intended to retrieve the crystal skull Agator from an Inca temple in the time of the Cold War, involving the Soviets, led by Marina Spelko. She was previously portrayed by Kate Blanchett. It's great to see the original cast members, John Rhys-Davies and Karen Allen, had prospectively reprised their previous roles as Salah and Marion from 3 of the first 5 films in Indiana Jones films. Indy's psychic Salah is an Egyptian excavator who supports his friend Indy to fund the mystical the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. Then he became a cab driver and lived in New York City with his entire immigrated family. So the prologue, during the flashback of World War II era, was partially set in 1944, where Harrison Ford was partly de-aged to match up his younger appearance from an original trilogy, was done by visual effects from Industrial Light and Magic, with the use of actual archived footage from Lucasfilm on post-production. Well, basically, I thought he looked so freaky in his de-aged appearance, but he looked absolutely superb. Like the way they simply worked with the similar techniques how they did de-age Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker in Star Wars TV series, for Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett, for featuring the Nazi villains from Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade. Some of the reference were shared with the actual events of Nazi plunder, which had taken place in Germany, 1944, where the stolen treasures and sacred artifacts were stored in the castle interior under command by the Nazi German officer Colonel Rebel, along with a bunch of his fascist soldiers, and loaded into the train carriages. Colonel Rebel, who was portrayed by the actor Thomas Kretschmann, while Indiana Jones and his British archaeological friend Basil Shaw were infiltrating a complex of the Nazi castle interiors as the attempt to retrieve the lens of Longinus, also known as the Spin of Destiny, which was loaded inside the train carriages, but it turned out to be the replica versions. Basil was actually played by Toby Jones, as he previously voiced Dobby the Elf from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So he and Indy discovered that only first half of dial was an ancient mechanism. I really liked one of the best action sequence of Indy begins fighting off the Nazis during the scenes of the motorcycle escape and train chase through the German railway lines as well. And there's the best moment when Indiana Jones punched a Nazi in the face. One of the cast members, Mads Mikkelsen, did his good work for his portraying as Dr. Fuller, who appears to be a Nazi villain. Then Fuller worked as NASA scientist for the moon landing program in 1969. Matt had previously portrayed Lee Jeffrey from A Casino Royale and Gellert Grindelwald from A Fantastic Beast, The Secrets of Dumbledore, for his costume, and his appearance looked rather similar to one of the early villains, Arnold Erst Toot from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Overall, this movie was actually set in New York City, 1969. During the Apollo 11, astronauts participated in a moon landing program run by NASA at the same time as Vietnam War. Meanwhile, elderly Dr. Jones was ultimately about to retire from his academic teaching career in archaeological university. Since his life, as he felt quite depressed, drunk, obviously miserable, shortly after a separation from his wife Marion, seemed to be assuming about the death of Mutt Williams when serving the Vietnam War, who was previously played by Transformers star Shia LaBeouf. And in the living room, there was a painting on above the fireplace when Indy was laying. There was the painting of the Holy Grail. There was from A Lost Crusade. And you might see some pictures or photographs of Professor Henry Jones, who was previously played by Sean Connery. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge has firstly debuted her appearance to play as Helena Shaw, the adventurer and the daughter of late Basil Shaw, who accompanies Indy for the adventure in order to retrieve a mystical artifact. Archimedes' dial is known as Agate Farah. It could change a course of history. It seems to do with elements of time travel, continental drift. Well, at the end of the film, the point is, Indy can start travelling on an adventure to Morocco before retrieving another second half of dial, where it's kept in the tomb of Archimedes, a famous Greek mathematician. One of the fellow cast members, Boyd Elbrook, has participated in his productive acting role to portray as Clabber, the right-hand henchman of Fuller, in 1969. He previously played as a main villain, Donald Pierce, who's a mutant killer from X-Men spin-off movie Logan. There is a critical dramatic sequence of Indy that took a horse ride a while, crashed on the chase, crashing through the parade of Apollo 11 ticker tape and subway station as fleeing from Fuller's henchmen. Apparently, Indy was somehow being falsely accused of murdering his colleagues. A creative actress named Jeanette Renee Wilson did her good part for portraying as Mason, the intelligent US government agent who worked with Dr. Fuller through the modern period of 1969. She literally wore her authentic 60s style costume while her character Mason attempted to investigate behind the evidence of her in the show. Therefore, I always thought about the known Spanish-speaking actor Antonio Bandera, who performs his splendid part as Arendi, the diving expert, and old friend of Indy's. He previously worked in the Massacre Sorrow, Spy Kids, and Shrek film series, including Puss in Boots. Has a teenage American sidekick named Teddy Kuma, who was played by Evans Isidore, so Teddy has barely shared some similar influences and characteristics to Indy's young psychic showground from Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. In my opinion, it was very interesting to know the fact that the filmmaking and production crew had managed to work on those unique film locations was shot from Glasgow, Bamberg Castle, Evans, Tangier, London, Sicily, and also shot on underwater stage on Pinewood CGIs were used for the scenes of the entire film. Although I really liked those impressive costume designs that looked fantastic in the World War II era and modern settings of the 1960s. And also I loved that unique, iconic costume with fedora and the brown leather bomber jacket was worn by Harrison Ford for his character appearance from her early films. According to a legendary music composer John Williams, that he has done an extraordinary opportunity to score new and original music, including Raiders March theme was famously used for end credits. Likely, he previously worked on those films such as Star Wars, E.T., Harry Potter and Jaws and Jurassic Park. We obviously do always also remember those video game adaptations such as Indiana Jones, The Emperor's Tomb, The Infernal Machine, Fate of Atlantis, and Stuff of the Kings were released on gaming platforms in the past decades. So, there was one scene that's quite interesting, where when Indiana Jones and the Fuller's henchmen returned to travel back in time during the time of the Roman invasion, surge of Syracuse in the 2nd century BC, during the invasion of Roman times. So obviously when Indy was gravely injured, when he attempted to meet Archimedes, a famous machinician and engineer who created a dial. So Indy has to go back to 1969 to get from recovered in his apartment. So by the end, he reconcile with Marion Ravenwood, his wife Marion. He attempts to help Indy to recover his wounds and his injuries. Remember singing events of the Lost Ark. So I really enjoyed watching it. This good quality Lost Indiana Jones movie ever. It was absolutely brilliant. Okay, so feel free to leave your comments down below and give thumbs up if you enjoyed it. My review about Indiana Jones movie ever. Okay guys, that's it for now. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel to hit the bell notification. And don't forget to look up my social media is Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok and Instagram. You can always check me out. That'd be appreciated, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So please stay tuned for next film reviews. Okay, so I'll see you soon and thank you very much. I'll see you next time.